I shot my brother in the knee with his own hunting rifle, right there in the middle of our family's Thanksgiving dinner. As the turkey cooled on the table and Aunt Rita's pie sat untouched. The bullet tore through his jeans like paper, and he howled like a gutted animal. But I didn't flinch, because that ring on his finger, the one he'd pawned to strangers for a quick fix, wasn't just heirloom gold. It was the key to the lie that had chained me to a decade in prison for a murder I didn't commit. And as the family screamed and the cops' sirens wailed in the distance, I whispered to him, "Welcome to the family secret, Jake. Now you know what betrayal tastes like." The rain hammered the city like it had a personal grudge, turning the streets of Brooklyn into slick black mirrors that reflected the neon haze of bodegas and all-night delis. It was the kind of November night in 2023 where folks huddled under awnings, cursing the sky, while Harmony Reyes, pushed through it all with a pawn ticket burning a hole in my coat pocket. 32 years old, fresh out of Rikers after 10 years for a crime that wasn't mine, and the first thing I did was head to Goldfinger's pawn on Myrtle Avenue. Not for sentiment, hell no. For answers. I'd pawned that ring myself back in 2013, right before everything went to shit. It was Grandma Elena's wedding band, etched with her initials and a tiny sapphire from the old country, passed down through generations of Reyes women who'd clawed their way from Puerto Rican tenements to Queens row houses. "For luck," she'd say, twisting it on her finger while stirring Eras con Gandals. But luck? That ring had been my curse. I hawked it for $800 to cover Jake's gambling debts, my little brother, the golden boy who couldn't lose a bet but always did. He swore it'd be temporary, just till his big score at the track.
Lies.
Always lies. The pawnshop door jingled like a bad omen as I stepped inside, shaking off the downpour. The place smelled of stale cigarettes and tarnished metal, shelves crammed with forgotten lives, faded guitars, cracked watches, engagement rings that screamed, "What if?" Behind the bulletproof glass, Old Man Goldfinger, real name Saul. But no one called him that, squinted at me through his bifocals, his liver-spotted hands polishing a silver chain. "Harmony Reyes," he rasped, recognition flickering in his eyes like a faulty bulb. "Heard you were out." 10 years is a long stretch for boosting a purse. I leaned on the counter, my reflection warped in the glass, short black hair cropped close from prison gem, eyes hollowed by too many sleepless nights on a thin mattress. "Not here for chit-chat, Saul. That ring I pawned, the one with the sapphire, it's gone." He chuckled, a wet rattle from his chest. "Gone,
Kid.
Nothing's gone in this business. Redeemed, melted, or fenced. Yours? Redeemed 2 weeks after you dropped it. Cash buyout. Clean." My gut twisted.
Jake.
He'd sworn he'd get it back. "Who redeemed it?" "Name." Saul shrugged, flipping through a dog-eared ledger. "Stranger. Paid full plus interest. Didn't haggle. Left an address, some loft in Williamsburg." He slid a crumpled receipt across the counter. "The name, Victor Hale. No last name, just Victor Hale, with a scrawled Manhattan zip. Victor Hale." The name hit me like a sucker punch. I'd heard whispers in the yard at Rikers. Hale was a ghost in the underworld, a fixer for the kind of people who made problems disappear. Wall Street by day, shadows by night. If he'd bought Grandma's ring, it wasn't for the sparkle. It was leverage. And Jake? That idiot had pawned it to strangers, all right, strangers who now owned a piece of our blood. I snatched the receipt and bolted back into the rain, hailing a yellow cab that reeked of wet dog and cheap air freshener. Williamsburg. Fast, I barked at the driver. A grizzled Pakistani guy blasting bad Bollywood remixes. The city blurred past graffiti-tagged bridges, hipster bars spilling laughter onto sidewalks. The endless grind of New York that never paused for your sob story. By the time I reached the loft, my boots were soaked, and fury simmered in my veins like cheap whiskey. The building was one of those converted warehouses. All exposed brick and artisanal bullshit. Door buzzers labeled with ironic names like The Collective or Echo Chamber. Hales was unmarked. Just a number, 7B. I pressed it, and after a beat, a voice crackled through, smooth, East Coast polish with a hint of menace. Yeah, Harmony Reyes. You bought a ring from Goldfingers. We need to talk. Silence. Then the door buzzed open. No elevator. I climbed 4 flights, heart pounding harder with each creak of the stairs. The door to 7B swung wide before I knocked, revealing a man in his late 40s, tall and lean like a blade, dressed in a crisp white shirt rolled to the elbows.
No tie.
Victor Hale. His eyes ice blue, unreadable, scanned me top to bottom. Not leering, just assessing. Like I was merchandise. MS. Reyes, he said, stepping aside with a flourish that screamed old money. I've been expecting you. Whiskey. The loft was a study in calculated chaos, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the East River's glittering sprawl. Leather couches piled with law books and burner phones. A bar cart stocked with top-shelf bottles. No family photos. No clutter. Just power. Distilled. I didn't sit. The ring. Why'd you buy it? He poured 2 fingers into crystal tumblers, handing me one. The burn down my throat was welcome, liquid courage for the storm brewing. Your brother's debt, he said simply, sinking into an armchair. Jake owed my associates 20 grand. The ring was collateral. I redeemed it too. Settle things quietly. Settle. I laughed, bitter as the peat smoke in the glass. You mean Barry? Jake's mess got me locked up.
Hale.
Armed robbery on that bodega in 13? His prints were all over the crowbar. But he pinned it on me. Said I was the junkie sister covering for his habit. DA bought it hook, line, and sinker. 10 years.
Hale.
For protecting family. Victor's expression didn't crack. But something shifted in his eyes. Pity? Calculation? Family's a hell of a drug. Harmony. Jake's got charm.
I'll give him that.
But charm don't pay debts. The ring? It's safe. In my safe. Actually. He nodded to a sleek black box on the wall, humming faintly like it had its own security detail. I set the glass down hard enough to slosh amber onto the oak. I want it back.
Now.
He steepled his fingers, leaning forward. And what do I get? Your brother's skipped town twice this year. Last I heard, he's holed up in Atlantic City, blowing what little he has left on blackjack. If you want the ring, help me collect. The offer hung there, toxic and tempting. Work for the devil to reclaim my soul? New York had chewed up worse women than me and spat them out diamond hard. But this, crossing into Hale's world, meant no turning back. Betrayal had already cost me a decade. Revenge might cost everything else. Fine, I said, the word tasting like ash. But if you screw me,
Hale.
I'll make sure that safe of yours holds your balls next. He smiled then, genuine and sharp as a switchblade.
Deal.
Welcome to the family. Harmony. That night, as I crashed on his pull-out couch, too wired to go home to my empty Queen's apartment, I stared at the ceiling, tracing cracks that mirrored the fractures in my life. Jake, my blood, had sold me out for a high and a lie. But Hale? He was a stranger with my grandmother's ring, dangling it like bait. Strangers in a pawnshop ring. Indeed. And I was the fool stepping into the noose. The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving. Coffee bitter in mismatched mugs as Victor laid out the plan over takeout bagels from Essa Bagel. Jake's at the Tropicana. High roller table. Alias Lucky Reyes, irony's a bitch. You go in as his sister. The prodigal. Play the reconciliation card. Get him to the room. I'll handle the rest. Handle how? I asked, slathering cream cheese like it was war paint. Persuasion. His tone was light, but his eyes said otherwise. Nothing permanent. Just enough to remind him debts have teeth. I nodded, but doubt not at me. Victor Hale wasn't the type to leave loose ends. His world was built on them being tied off neat. Still, the ring called to me, Grandma's voice in my head, whispering for luck like a prayer. Luck had abandoned the Reyes long ago, but maybe I could steal it back. Atlantic City was a 3-hour bus ride from Port Authority. The kind of Greyhound purgatory where strangers eyed each other like potential marks. I sat by the window, watching Jersey sprawl give way to boardwalk glitz, the salt air seeping through cracks in the seal. My burner phone, Victor's gift, buzzed once. Eyes on you. Play nice. The Tropicana hit me like a fever dream, flashing slots, cocktail waitresses in feathers. The acrid tang of desperation masked as fun. I spotted Jake at a blackjack table, his once boyish face gaunt under the harsh lights, a stack of chips dwindling like his luck. He wore the ring, Grandma's ring, twisting it nervously as he hit on 19. Jake, I said, sliding onto the stool beside him, voice pitch soft,
Sisterly.
He froze, cards forgotten, eyes wide with the panic of a cornered rat. Har?
Shit.
What the? How'd you find me? Family intuition. I forced a smile, but it felt like a grimace. The dealer cleared his throat, and Jake waved him off, grabbing my arm hard enough to bruise. Look, I didn't mean. Save it. Room service on me.
We talk.
Alone. He hesitated, glancing at his chips, then nodded. Up in his comp suite, peeling wallpaper and a view of the parking lot, we faced off like gladiators in a cage too small. You look good, sis, he lied, pouring bourbon from the minibar. Prison suits you. Fuck you. Jake. The words exploded out, raw and ragged. You let me rot. For what? Heroin? Horses? That bodega clerk, mister. Patel, he had kids. Man. You bashed his skull for $40 in the register. And I took the fall because Mom begged me to protect the baby. Baby's 30 now. And I'm the one with the record. His face crumpled. But not with remorse, with calculation. It was a mistake.
Har.
Heat of the moment.
But you?
You're tough. You could have walked. I lunged then, grabbing his collar, slamming him against the mirror that spiderwebbed under the impact. Tough. I lost everything.
Job.
Friends.
Life. And you?
Pawning Grandma's ring to scum like Hale? Who's he to you? Jake? Your new bookie? He shoved me off, wheezing. Hale? That prick's the one who fronted me the cash for the score. Said the ring was insurance. I didn't know it'd lead back to you. Lies layered on lies. But before I could press, the door clicked open. Victor, silent as smoke, a Glock 19 casual in his grip. Evening.
Jake.
Harmony. Nice work. Jake's eyes darted between us. Betrayal dawning. You? With him? What the fuck? Har. Victor's smile was all teeth. Debts. Remember? Pay up. Or we improvise. The room tilted. Alliances fracturing like cheap glass. Jake bolted for the balcony. But Victor was faster, tackling him in a blur of limbs. I stood frozen, the ring glinting on the carpet where it fell. This was revenge? Or just trading one chain for another? As sirens wailed faintly from the boardwalk below, I picked up the ring, its weight heavier than memory. Strangers had warmed it around their fingers, but the truth? It burned mine. Back in the city, the loft felt less like sanctuary and more like a spider's web. Victor's domain where every shadow hit a hook. Jake was trussed in the guest room, zip ties on wrists, a gag fashioned from a bath towel, his muffled curses a dull throb through the walls. Victor paced the living room, phone to his ear, barking orders in clipped tones to someone named Rico. Double the watch. No visitors. And get me eyes on the casino footage. Reyes might have tripped a wire. I nursed a black coffee at the bar. The ring now on my thumb. Too big but defiant. It caught the light from the skyline. Sapphire winking like it knew secrets I didn't. What's the endgame here? Hale? You squeeze Jake for the 20K. I get my freedom and the ring. Then what? He squeals about the bodega. Drags me back under the bus. Victor hung up, pouring himself a scotch neat. Endgame's flexible. Harmony. Jake's not just a debtor. He's a loose thread in a bigger tapestry. That score he botched? It was my operation. Art heist from a Chelsea gallery. 15th century icon. Black market gold. Your brother was the inside man. But he got greedy. Fenced it piecemeal. Cops sniffed it because of the bodega noise. You took the fall. But the real heat's on me. The revelation landed like a gut shot. Not just betrayal, complicity. Jake hadn't just framed me. He'd entangled me in Victor's syndicate without a whisper. So I'm what? Your Patsy's Patsy? And you bought the ring too.
What?
Tie it all off. Something like that. He sat across from me, close enough I could smell his cologne, sandalwood and sin. But you're no Patsy.
Harmony.
You're leverage. Jake talks. You corroborate. He shuts up. We all walk. I laughed.
Hollow.
Leverage. That's rich. 10 years ago, I was the good sister, working doubles at the diner to keep mom's meds paid.
Now?
I'm your muscle. The word tasted wrong. But the power? It hummed in my veins. Dark and addictive. Victor's gaze lingered. Appraising again. You could be more. My world's not for saints. But it's got room for survivors. Help me clean this. And that record? I know a guy in Albany. Strings pulled. Slate wiped. The offer dangled. Sweeter than the ring's promise. A clean slate in America meant reinvention, new name, new city. The kind of life where pawnshops were for browsing, not desperation. But trust a fixer? That was like betting a snake. Before I could answer, Jake's door rattled, banging. Muffled yells. Victor sighed, holstering his piece. Stay here. I didn't. I followed, heart jackhammering. The room was sparse, unmade bed. a duffel spilling casino swag. Jake thrashed against his bonds, face purpled with rage, eyes locking on me like lasers. Victor ripped the gag free. You gonna be smart? Or do we do this hard? Fuck you both. Jake spat, voice raw. Har. Listen, he's the one who set the bodega hit. Needed a diversion for the heist. Pushed me into it. Said it'd be clean. Then you show up, playing hero. And bam, cops everywhere. He let you fry to save his ass. Victor's back stiffened, but he didn't deny it. Just a subtle shift, hand drifting to his hip. Lies from a liar.
Jake.
You pulled the trigger on Patel, metaphorically. I was across town. The air thickened, accusations coiling like smoke. I stepped between them, fists clenched. Which is it? My brother's the monster. Or you're the puppeteer? Jake's eyes pleaded, twin to the boy who'd once shared my bunk bed, whispering dreams of escaping queens. He's poison.
Sis.
The ring? He wanted it because it's engraved. Grandma's initials match the manifest from the heist. Ties it back, if anyone digs. Victor's laugh was low. Dangerous. Cute story. But manifests are forgeries.
Kid.
And that ring? Just sentimental bullshit. He turned to me. Voice velvet over steel. Choose. Harmony. Blood or business? The room spun. Loyalties fracturing further. Blood had chained me once. Business promised chains of gold. I yanked the ring off, hurling it at Jake's chest. It bounced, rolling under the bed. Tie him tighter. We're not done. As Victor complied, a grudging respect in his nod, I retrieved the ring, slipping it into my pocket. Outside, the city pulsed on, oblivious. But inside, the pawnshop ring tightened, strangers no more, all complicit. Days blurred into a tense standoff. Victor's network buzzed, tails on potential tails. Payoffs to casino security for scrubbed footage. I played guard dog, interrogating Jake between Victor's sessions, fists. Not bullets, but bruises bloomed like ugly flowers. Jake cracked stories in fragments, the heist night. Fog rolling off the Hudson as they cracked the gallery vault, Victor's voice in his earpiece. Calm as a surgeon's, the bodega as afterthought. A quick smash for bus fare that spiraled when Mr. Patel fought back. Why'd you let me take the fall? I demanded one night. After Victor stepped out for a meet. Jake's left eye was swelling shut. Lips split. Because you're the strong one, he slurred. Head lolling. Mom said so. Harmony's got the Reyes fire. Thought you'd beat it in court. Appeal or some shit. Appeal? With a public defender who thought I was guilty. Tears stung. Hot and unwelcome. Prison had taught me to swallow them. But family? It unearthed graves. Jake reached with bound hands, brushing my knee. I'm sorry.
Har.
Let me make it right. Untie me. We ghost together. Mom's place in Florida. A knock echoed, sharp, insistent. Victor's burner. I froze, listening as he answered in the hall. Rico, talk to me.
Pause.
How many?
Shit.
Lock it down. He burst in. Face thunder.
Feds.
Sniffing the heist trail. Your brother's mouth ran to a bookie who flipped. Jake smirked through the pain. Told you. Man's a snake. Victor's hand blurred, a backhand that snapped Jake's head sideways. Blood flecked the sheets. Enough. Harmony. Pack a bag. We're moving him. Now. As we bundled Jake into the trunk of Victor's black Escalade, gagged again. Truss like luggage, the rain returned, biblical and blinding. I slid into the passenger seat, ring heavy in my pocket, the city's lights smearing into accusations. Who was the villain here? The brother who'd betrayed, the fixer who'd profited, or the sister now driving the getaway car? We headed north, toward the Catskills, Victor's safe house, a cabin off-grid, stocked for sieges. The drive was silent save for the wiper's metronome and Jake's thumps from the back. My mind raced. Twist the wheel into a ditch. Call the cops from a payphone. Wash my hands, or lean in. Embrace the dark. Reclaim what was stolen. At a red light in Yonkers, Victor's phone lit up an unknown number. He answered on speaker. Mistake or test. A woman's voice. Husky with Jersey grit. Hail? It's Lena. From the gallery. Feds just raided my place. They're onto the icon. And your girl's brother? He's singing like Sinatra. Lena. The inside woman on the heist, Jake's sometime flame. Victor's silent partner. Betrayals echo chamber. Victor's jaw clenched. Handle it, Lena. Or I will.
Click.
The light turned green. Drive, he said, voice ice. But I didn't. I killed the engine. Turning to him. Who else you screwing over? Victor? Lena? Me? His eyes met mine. Unblinking. Everyone. Harmony. That's the game. The trunk thumped harder, Jake. Desperate. In that moment, the ring burned against my thigh. A talisman of truths buried deep. Strangers had warmed it. But the fire? It was ours. The cabin squatted in the Catskills like a forgotten grudge. Pine needles crunching under tires as we pulled up at dawn. Fog clung to the trees, muting the world to grays and greens. The kind of isolation that amplified every creak and whisper. Victor hauled Jake inside first, over his shoulder like a sack of regrets, dumping him in the basement on a bare concrete floor. Cooler than the trunk, he quipped, securing new chains to an old radiator. Jake's eyes, bloodshot and wild, pleaded with me as the door slammed shut. Upstairs, the place was survivalist chic, wood stove crackling, canned goods stacked like ammo, a satellite phone charging on the counter. Victor brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, handing me a mug with a nod. Storm's coming. Literal and otherwise. Feds'll trace the casino ping soon. We hole up. Wait for Lena to spin her web. I sipped, scalding my tongue, punishment fitting. Lena. Your heist, honey? What's her angle?
X.
Complicated. He stared out the window, rifle propped casual against the sill, scanning the tree-line. She ran the gallery, fed us the manifest. Jake was her. Distraction. Post-heist. She wanted out. I accommodated. Accommodated. The word dripped sarcasm. Meaning you iced her loose ends? Victor's shrug was poetry and evasion. Meaning she's alive, breathing, and useful. Unlike some. A pointed glance toward the basement. I set the mug down, pacing the creaky boards. The ring circled my finger now, resized in my mind if not reality, Grandma's luck, or Jake's noose. This tapestry of yours. Hail, it's fraying. Jake flips. Lena flips. Feds flip burgers on us. What's my cut besides a maybe clean record? He turned, closing the distance. his presence filling the room like smoke. Your cut's choice. Harmony. Stay and fight. Or walk with the ring and ghosts. His hand brushed my arm, electric. Unintended? Intentional. You're not like them. Rhea's fire. You said? Burn bright. Not out. The air crackled, tension coiling tighter than Jake's chains. For a heartbeat, I saw it. Partnership, not pawn. A life beyond scraps. Where betrayal was currency, but loyalty a weapon. Then the basement groaned, Jake. Testing bonds, and reality crashed back. Watch him, Victor said, grabbing keys. I'm scouting the ridge. Radio, if anything. Alone. I descended the stairs. Flashlight beams slicing the gloom. The basement smelled of damp earth and despair. Jake huddled in a corner. Shirt torn. Bruises mapping his ribs like a topographical eye. Har, he croaked, voice a rasp. Untie me.
Please.
Hale's gonna kill us both. I knelt. Beams steady on his face, older. Harder. But still my baby brother. The one I'd bandaged after playground falls. Why'd you do it? Jake? The bodega. The heist. Me. Tears tracked dirt-streaked cheeks.
Fear.
Always fear. Mom dying. Bills piling. Victor's offer seemed easy. One job, he said. Then the ring. Pawned it to cover a shortfall. But he claimed it for leverage. Said if I talked, you'd pay.
Asobicid.
I thought prison would toughen you. Make you hate me less.
Hate.
The word echoed. A chasm. I'd hated the bars. The guards. The endless nights replaying Patel's last gasp, courtesy of Jake's crowbar. But family? Hate was luxury. Love was the chain. Lena says you're singing. Lies. He strained forward.
She's the snake.
Slept with Victor for the plans. Then blackmailed Jake for a cut. The icon? She kept a shard, porcelain chip in her necklace. Feds'll love that. Doubt slithered in. Venomous. Upstairs, radio crackled. Victor's voice. Perimeter clear. Hold tight. I stood. Conflicted. If you're lying. I'm not. Swear on Mom.
His eyes.
Desperate mirrors. The stairs creaked. Victor. Early. I doused the light. Slipping upstairs as he entered. Snow dusting his coat. Roads icing. We're snowed in by noon. We ate in silence, beans from cans. Heated over the stove, tension a third wheel. Victor's glances probed, seeking cracks. Mine? They drifted to the basement door. Jake's words festering. Night fell early, wind howling like banshees. I volunteered for watch, rifle heavy across my lap, poring over Victor's burner logs by firelight. Text to Lena. Chip confirmed? Burn it. Her reply done. But Rhea's voice chatty. Price up. Victor's. Handle or I will. Handle. The word looped. Ominous. Around 2 a.m. A crunch outside. Footsteps? Dear? I crept to the window. Rifle ready. When the radio spat static. Harmony. It's Lena. Victor's gone rogue. Gunshot. Basement. Victor's voice. Muffled yell. Traitor. I bolted down. Door banging wide. Chaos. Jake freed. Somehow chain slack. A loose bolt his savior, lunging at Victor with a shard of pipe. Victor fired wild. Bullet pinging concrete. Lena? Nowhere. Har! Jake yelled, tackling Victor. They grappled. Grunts and curses. The rifle skittering toward me. I scooped it. Barrel trained. Stop. They froze Jake atop. Pipe raised. Victor pinned. Eyes defiant. He cut me loose, Jake gasped. Told me you'd buy the family act. But Lena? She's outside. Waiting. Double cross.
Victor spat blood.
Bullshit. She's the one who tipped feds, wants the icon's full value solo. The pipe trembled in Jake's grip. Wind rattled windows upstairs. Lena? Feds? The ring dug into my palm. Choices crystallizing. Shoot the brother. Save the fixer? Or vice versa. Harmony, Victor urged. Voice steady. He's the weak link. End it. Jake's eyes welled. Don't. We're Reyes. Blood. The rifle shook. Controversial decisions. The prompt said here it was
Raw.
no heroes. Just survivors picking sides in the dark. I lowered the barrel. Decision fracturing me.
Tie him again.
Lena's the play. As Jake complied, ironic reversal, sirens whined distant. Snow muffling but not silencing. The pawnshop ring closed tighter. Stranger's warmth now a pyre. Morning brought clarity's cruel edge. Tracks in the snow leading to a rental car. Lena's prince fleeing east. Victor. Bandaged shoulder seeping red. Poured over maps. She's heading to the border, Canada play. We intercept at the thruway. Jake. Rechained but fed. Watch sullen. Let her go. Take the heat. Victor snorted. Heat's on all of us now. Harmony's call. Me again. The fire in my veins roared. Rhea's fire. Unquenched. We end it. No loose threads. The drive was suicide on ice. Escalade fishtailing through drifts. Victor at wheel. Me shotgun with the rifle. Jake duct-taped in back. Trust eroded to nil. Radio chatter confirmed. Feds mobilizing. Heist cold case thawing. We caught Lena at a rest stop near Albany. Her Civic idling under sodium lamps. Exhaust ghosting the air. She bolted as we screeched in, but Victor's tackle was poetry, down in the slush. Her necklace snapping. The porcelain chip glinting like a tooth. Harmony, she gasped. Victor's knee in her back. He's the devil. Framed Patel to cover the heist. Used your brother as bait. Lies or truth. Her eyes. Frantic. Mirrored Jake's pleas. Victor zip-tied her. Hauling to the trunk beside his brother. Two birds, he muttered. Back at the cabin. Interrogations blurred. Lena admitting the chip sale to a collector. Jake corroborating Victor's bodega nudge. Victor? Silent. Plotting. Crescendo built. Feds closing. Storm raging. I held the ring. Its etching's a map of sins. Betrayals blueprint. The cabin siege peaked that night. Feds floodlights piercing the fog like accusatory fingers. Choppers thumping overhead. Victor barricaded doors with felled logs. Windows boarded. His calm a facade over frenzy. They want the icon, he said. Loading clips. We give M. Jake and Lena. Immunity bait. Jake. Unchained now in a desperate truce. Scoffed from the corner. Sell us out? After you pimped the heist? Lena. Bruised but unbroken. Spat. He's right. Victor orchestrated it all. Gallery alarm codes from me. Muscle from Jake. Fulgayu. Harmony. The bodega? His idea. To muddy the timeline. Victor's laugh echoed.
Hollow.
And the ring? My insurance.
Yeah.
But Jake pawned it first, to strangers who traced it back. Your mess. Reyes. The circle tightened, each finger pointing, truths twisting like barbed wire. I gripped the rifle. Ring on my trigger finger. The cabin in a pressure cooker of fractured loyalties. Outside. Bullhorns blared. Victor Hale. Harmony Reyes, come out with hands up. My choice loomed, polarizing as a jury verdict. Shoot Victor. Free the siblings. Claim self-defense. Or execute the betrayers. Align with the fixer. Vanish into his web. Harmony, Victor said.
Soft.
Stepping close, too close. Rifle dipping. We're the survivors. They dragged you down. I lift you up. Jake lunged then. Pipe forgotten. Raw hands grabbing. No blood. Sis. Chaos erupted. Scuffle. Lena joining. A melee of limbs and lies. The rifle barked my shot. Wild. Shattering a window. Glass rained. Cold air rushing in. Feds breached, flashbangs popping. Shouts overlapping. In the strobe, I saw it. Victor drawing on Jake. Lena clawing his face. My brother swinging. I fired again, deliberate. The bullet grazed Victor's arm, spinning him, but it was Lena's knife from God knows where that plunged home, into his thigh. He crumpled, howling. Traitors, Victor roared, Glock spitting rounds that chewed the wall. Jake tackled him final. Pipe cracking skull, once.
Twice.
Victor stilled, eyes glazing, blood pooling dark. Feds swarmed, zip-tying us amid the carnage. Lena wept. Jake retched. I stood numb, rings slick with sweat. Interrogation room at Albany field office, fluorescent hell. Coffee like motor oil. Agent Ruiz, a no-nonsense Latina with Queen's edge. Slid photos across. Heist manifest. Pawn receipts. Patel's crime scene. Your brother's the trigger man. Hale the architect. The woman the fence. You. Yes. Reyes? The enigma. 10 years ago. You confessed.
Now?
Witnesses say Hale framed you. I twisted the ring. It's sapphire dull under lights. Family, I said simply. Took the fall to protect Jake. But the truth? It pawned us all. Jake flipped first, full confession. Hale's empire crumbling in his wake. Lena corroborated. Trading for leniency. Victor? Comatose. Then gone. Slipped custody. A ghost again.
Me?
Plea deal. Time served. Record expunged. The ring. Evidence once. Returned grandma's luck. Battered but unbroken. Months later. Brooklyn spring. Cherry blossoms mocking the scars. Jake out on parole. Sober house in Jersey. Calls weekly, tentative bridges. Lena vanished. Whispers of witness protection. I walk Myrtle Avenue. Past Goldfinger's, all gone. Shop shuttered. Strangers warm new rings. Oblivious. But at night, doubts creep. Did I choose right? Victor's offer lingered. A dark happily ever after. Power over scraps. Jake's blood tied me. But betrayal's stain? Eternal. Twist. A package arrives. Unmarked. Inside, a burner phone. Victor's voice crackling. Missed you. Harmony.
Debts paid.
But the real heist's just starting. Your call. Screen goes dark. The ring warms my finger. Strangers no more. But the circle? Eternal. Debatable. Hero? Villain? Or just American flawed? Fierce. Forever chasing luck in the shadows. Did I pull the trigger on redemption? Or reload for round 2? You decide.